session will be recorded for future use on our YouTube channel. So if you don't wish your image to be recorded, simply close the video feed. And secondly, I will remind you of the code of conduct that's outlined in your Zoom invitation. Our format today is going to be an open discussion regarding Aging with Pride over the last quarter. And three of the people from the organizing committee, myself, Eric Storey from Edmonton Pride Seniors Group, and Rachel Tassone from SAGE will lead the discussions. And I'm now going to turn it over to Eric to review the previous talks very briefly.
Oh, so bear with me. Ah, there we are. There's a share. So just quickly to run through what the programs that we had October through December. And for some, oh, there we are. There's the first one with Michael, of course, talking about community. This Cyber Seniors I found very helpful. A few people from our group actually have been in contact with Cyber Seniors and got great help from them. So that was been good. This was on the Omega Travel, which was always very interesting. Unfortunately, they don't accept men. I just gotta change that at some point. Next, as we had Angel from ASPEC, I guess is the correct one. Murray, always well known in the community, always a good speaker, and of course Darren, just absolutely fabulous at whatever he does. The Metro Cinema was a really interesting event, having Heather talk about that, and then of course the Edmonton Social Planning Council, and finally catching up with our friends from Manitoba and what they're doing, which is always which is interesting, really interesting to see what they've done. And then last week, our musical guests of Northern Heart. We did have some technical issues. We're working on trying to improve the sound in our music room whenever we can, but that's going to be an ongoing challenge for us. And that was really about it, except that we opened the season with Supernova, which was a great movie. We had a very good turnout for that, so that was encouraging. Now, so we're talking about our favorite events, and for me, interesting, Angel from Aspect, her talking about setting up boundaries. In social work, we talk about boundaries all the time and how to respect boundaries and so on. But I never actually had to have that conversation in a dating relationship about setting up boundaries and discovering who's, what interests are and so on. And they just sort of happened organically. But having a deliberate conversation about boundaries, I found, was extremely valuable. So that was my favorite. Larry, what about your thoughts?
Yeah, firstly, I will say we're not going to include Rachel. We're going to excuse her because she was double booked for almost all of these things. So we didn't think that was fair. My choice, and it's a difficult choice because there were no bad talks, but the one that I took most home from, I think, was Heather and Metro Cinema. And what particularly appealed to me about this was, firstly, the movie was excellent and the panel and so on. So an aspect talking about dementia and so on, an aspect of aging that we really hadn't dealt with, and the panel was helpful, and the collaboration with the Alzheimer's Society and the like was excellent. But the other thing that I really liked about Heather's talk is I didn't know very much about the extent to which Metro Cinema really has moved, and her passion for movies came through loud and clear. And finally, to follow up on that, we are planning a screening for next year. So I like the idea of something that isn't a one-off, but actually is a process which gets us involved in the community in a way that we perhaps hadn't. So I would ask you people to think about, the screening is June 29th during Pride Month. Think about movies that you think might be of particular interest to older LGBTQ 2S plus individuals, and we'll put it in the all of the titles in the hopper and come up with a solution courtesy of Metro Cinema and the Pride Center. So that would be that was my choice. Eric, if you would screen share the next slide to remind people very quickly, and then I'm going to ask the audience for their opinions. And it doesn't have to be the best or anything, but which sessions got your attention and why? If you could stop the screen share, Eric, and unmute the audience, please, Jan. And I'll perhaps start with, why don't I start with Jan as the silent member in the organizing committee here, and anyone else who wishes to speak, either just raise your hand or use the electronic hand raising signals to give me some opinions.
Well, I found this quarter to be really well-rounded. We had a combination of some repeat people who really have some, credibility in the community and very interesting things to tell us. And I also thought we had a good mix of brand new topics to explore. I think my personal favorite was Macaulay from Cyber Seniors, and I've been a person who's actually followed up with them and booked a one-on-one session. I had no idea something like that was available, where a youth volunteer would talk a senior through their technical issues, and I found it to be a very successful program. If I can just get a second one in, the sound of Darren Hagen's voice is just magical, and I so enjoyed listening to his readings.
Thank you very much, Jan. I'm struck by the diversity, even among the organizers, of what things we particularly resonated with us. Archie, and then Michael.
Hello.
Archie, yes, you're. Yes. I can hear you.
I was particularly interested in Michael Fair's talk, some of the history. I've been away from Edmonton for almost 40 years and back now, and just starting to find out what is going on in Edmonton and what is available. I also agree with Eric on it would be nice to have a cruise or a travel company interested in men's travel, like Olivia, and particularly if you're traveling single, if there's a way to avoid all these extra charges. And also agree with the discussion about boundaries. I've been in another session somewhere else one time where this came up too, and just thought it was a very interesting topic.
Thank you, Archie. I know through the Primetimers newsletters, there are advertisements. I obviously can't recommend them. I don't know anything about them, but there certainly are advertisements for cruises focused on gay men.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Michael.
Well, I managed to be double booked almost all the time, kind of thing, and that's. I'm not going to be triple booked sometimes. I would say that have two things. One is Archie, you should send me an email and I'll send you about our program and some of the stuff and the information. My email is real simple. It's just Michael Fair, one word, @shaw.ca. So that's
Okay.
all I do, and then I'll send you some other things. Mine really is a bit of I've thought of some of what's happened over the last few months, and whether maybe a session in the future would be on how to think about memorial services when we're at the age we are. What do we think, and what might we want when we pass along or disappear into the never land, the kind of thing in that. And what would be meaningful from our perspective about a memorial service or commemoration, whatever term you want to use, kind of thing. So I just make that as a suggestion. That's it.
Thank you, Michael. You'll be pleased to hear that those are some of the topics that we've also been thinking about, a number of aspects of memorial creation.
I'm working on it, Michael.
Rachel, did you comment? Was there anyone else who wanted? I'd really like to hear from as many people as possible because it helps us in planning. Joan, I see you're
Hi.
unmuted.
Yeah, they were all so good. Unfortunately, I missed Darren's, and I was very disappointed in myself for that. But I know I would have really liked his as well. But it's interesting because every one of the ones that I've attended, not everyone was something that really, made me feel all juicy. But when I watched them, they were amazing. So it's like you can't really make any decisions beforehand, and I was really appreciative of the fact that every one of them that I attended, even the ones that I thought, well, this is probably going to be a little bit boring, they were all good. So hats off to you guys. That was amazing to me. But my favorites would probably be the films, Supernova and the Metro Cinema, and my third favorite, I guess, would have been the Talk from Angel, the Boundaries. That was really good, and I have often referred to those little tidbits in my mind in my interactions with people. So that was a really outstanding one as well. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Joan. And let me make you even sorrier that you missed Darren's talk, because some of the material that he gave is material that is unpublished, that hadn't been presented, and really basically are the inaugural audience. And that was very special. Is there anyone that I'm missing who needs to speak now? Guy, you're muted, Guy.
Perfect. There we go. Thank you. Just comment. My favorite was the Metro Cinema talk as well. I only caught some of them. I so appreciate the variety, and it's what's making me come back, because you never quite know what it's going to be about. Just one observation. The gal from the Social Planning Council, the only thing I would comment on is she had so much content with her slides. We didn't have a whole lot of time left for questions. So I think the thought would be, in the future, somebody's doing a PowerPoint to remind them to keep it a bit short so that there's enough time for folks to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Guy.
Larry.
Michael again.
Yes, Larry. So I'm going to, and building on what Guy said and someone else about the film, I'm going to challenge Grant a bit to see whether we should do a review of a book that had older gays and lesbians in it. I wonder, Grant, whether that's something that might be useful to try to do.
I picked up a book a while ago. Didn't really know very much about it. Saw sort of a blurb review. It wasn't really a review at all, called The Kingdom of Sand. And it's first-person narrative, but not, I think, autobiographical. An older man, probably around 80, living in Florida, in some godforsaken little hole in Florida, and just reflecting on his life and how things started off, how things developed and where he is now, which is not the happiest place in the entire universe. I haven't finished it yet, so I can't really say how good I think it is, but it's disturbing. It makes me look at my own life and say, oh, yes, well, maybe if I had chosen differently, that would have, my life would be different now. Not that I'm complaining about my life. I think I have a damned good one, but I think that it might be a useful book. I don't know how it would apply to women. I suspect that women are better socialized to become older than we men are. We're not quite so adept at maintaining connections, I think is maybe the best way to put it. Anyway, it might be a very interesting discussion if we could convince a bunch of people to read it and then talk about how it applies to their lives, where it goes from there.
Thank you very much, Grant. Thank you, Michael. I mean, there are a number of books. I have one here, which is really has an, you can't see it, called For the Dreamland, Laurel Diedrich's book. Some of you have obviously read it. What's the one that just won the Alberta Prize, the Black Gay Porter?
The Sleeping Car Porter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the Sleeping Car Porter? Is that the title?
That's what it's called. Yeah, I haven't
So
read it
there
yet.
are lots of things. So if that's something that people are interested in, we would need to think about the technical way in which people can access the book and then read it. But it certainly complements the movie very nicely as well.
Yeah.
Any other?
I'd just like two things quickly. Grant, I was in another project on aging, and somebody said the both the blessing and the curse of getting older is the ability to reflect. I find that for myself quite and the other, Guy, when you're preparing a presentation, and I do quite a few presentations, I'm always a little bit nervous about, they say to leave 20 minutes for Q&A, and I'm always nervous that I'm going to finish talking and nobody is going to say anything. So it's a bit of a balancing act, but you're right. Susan had an awful lot of information, and I think that we need to balance that and make sure that we provide that little bit of extra time for Q&A. So thank you for that comment.
We will move on to the future and our plans. But Eric, perhaps if you could screen share now, and we'll look at issues of change and some potential problems that we have seen. Next slide. So the first question, what problems have you encountered either with content or technically? The statement, firstly, that in-person meetings have begun at SAGE, and how many of you see yourself as attending in person at SAGE rather than the Zoom content, the Zoom format, rather, that we will continue to accommodate people with mobility issues and our out-of-town audience members. Mm-hmm. So at this point, those are really our two questions. Any problems that you experienced? And secondly, what about the in-person component at SAGE? And I'll ask Rachel first, since I know she has time constraints, and then Eric to comment, and then I'll throw it out to the audience.
Sure. Like we've said, there was first a delay in getting in person because our doors were closed and we weren't really open to that yet with social distancing and things. We currently do still have a mask mandate at SAGE, which for some people is a positive, some is a negative. But it is something that we will have in place for the foreseeable future. We are having in-person meetings, so if anyone is interested in coming to the building, you can let us know and come, and then we're joining the Zoom together in the classroom. We also now have Classroom A as a kind of mask off food and beverage area, because I know that for many, the idea of getting to kind of gather together after the program is a draw, and the social component of that. So we do have that now. So during the program, you would have a mask on, but then if you wanted to move to Classroom A and have a bit of a social coffee, basically bring your own coffee, but because our cafe is not open yet. So I don't know if that's something that would draw people to coming to Sage. We weren't sure if people are interested in coming to the building or not, but we do know that that in-person component is something some people really miss, or some people don't have the technology to do Zoom. So we are offering that, but we didn't know if people really want it, don't want it. We're not sure, but it does exist now. So we just thought we'd get the group's feedback.
Okay, maybe before I go on to the technical problems, Eric, maybe I could just, of the group here, how many, maybe just raise your hand, people who would be interested in coming in person to Sage.
I would do that, but I prefer the Zoom, but I would definitely make an effort to come to some in person.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it would depend on the topic and the speaker and so on,
Yeah.
how you would go. So looked like there was roughly half of this entirely non-representative audience. So we will continue to do this, but part of our problem has also been the technical issues, which I am totally incompetent to speak on. So I will ask Eric to comment on that, and Rachel perhaps as well if she wishes, and then we'll get audience feedback.
And
Eric,
I have to stress, I'm only slightly less competent than Larry. It's the technical issues. Sage has got a grant and invested in some wonderful technology for Zoom. That it's amazing, but we haven't figured out the component of broadcasting music. But voices seem to come okay. So, but Bill Lee, who sometimes attends, had chatted with me the other day and given me some tips. He's supposed to send me a YouTube video to review. So I plan on watching that and see what we can improve. But we would certainly, before we were to host another musical session, we would want to do a real positive tryout to make sure that it works. But our guest, and I letting the cat out of the bag here, we did have Roger last St. Patrick's Day do a concert for us, and he's a musician and he knows what he's doing as opposed to me. So his music came out beautifully without a problem at all. So and that's good. We obviously have got some learning to do. That's the first thing. But basically running the Zoom, the in-person and Zoom hybrid sessions from Sage is not really a problem. And the last thing, it is a bit of a technical issue, that Sage in Classroom A, you're only supposed to eat what you brought from home, or drink coffee that you brought from home. My challenge is that I love baking, but when I bake, I have to eat it. If I bring some stuff to Sage and everybody lies and said, yes, I baked this cookie myself, then we don't have a problem. So just, I want to make sure we all have this internally, and we can go.
Silence.
Yeah, of course, I said it on tape, so it's not really that valid. Anyways, that's really it. I just noticed Archie Grant, The Kingdom of Sand by Andrew Holleran. I'll look that up. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience who's got questions about the sort of the change, I think we've seen that, and any of the technical problems. If you don't have something, I think the remaining time we really is the important stuff. We really want to talk about where we go from here, what we're doing in the future. So unless anyone has something specific to say on the problems, I'll ask Eric to move forward to slide share again, if you would please, Eric.
Okay. There we are.
So what I have just said is, what would you like to hear about, and who would you like to hear from? I'd also say, if any of you who are here, and some of you are very regular attendees, wish to speak on some subject in which you're passionate, that would be wonderful. I think personal stories add something very specific to this. The next slide, please, Eric. I can tell you now where we are for the first quarter. There are a couple of holes still, but we are taking a break until January the 12th. And at that time, Barbara Turner, who is a kinesiologist from Alberta Health, will talk about and perhaps demonstrate, I'm not sure, the Step Forward program, which is an exercise program specifically for elderly people who may have mobility limitations and various things. On the following week, the 19th of January, Eric Storey, who has created a toolkit for improving and increasing the inclusivity and diversity of organizations. We'll talk on that subject, how to make organizations more truly diverse and inclusive. On January 26th, Esther Lafayette, who is the present executive director of Pride Center of Edmonton, will bring us an update on one of our partners on Pride Center. On February the 2nd, Angel Sumka, who is from Aspect, and those of you who don't know Aspect is the Alberta Sex Positive Education and Consent Culture. She'll be talking about something about that subject. I haven't actually seen the things. In one at least of the next 2 dates in February, someone from SAGE will talk about. SAGE is our third partner with Pride Center and Pride Seniors Group, and some of the senior people from SAGE will talk about their what they do and about some of their programs, and in particular the tax preparation, being that we're at a time when we're all thinking about taxes. On the 23rd, Dee Milner, who's here today, and Petra Duncan will talk about the Faculty of Medicine's Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry's standardized patient program. This is a program where people such as Nancy come in and talk and pretend they are patients and try to improve the capacity of the medical students to get appropriate information. And very importantly in that is having people who can talk about being LGBTQ2S+. It's an important group. Gee, I don't know whether you have anything you wanted to say about that program, particularly, is there still an honorarium attached to it?
There is. They pay us slightly above the minimum wage. I think we get about $18 an hour. If it's a physical thing, if they're really doing intimate things, they give us $25 an hour. Yeah, so they pay us for much of our training as well. And they pay for parking and transportation. So it works out that it's generous. It's good extra money.
Okay, so that may be an incentive for some of you, that would complete then January and February. On March the 2nd, Michael, this is one of the things that you raised. We have Hilary Fabrizio from the university who is going to talk about financial planning, estate planning, creation of memorials and things of this nature. I'll make it clear, she isn't going to come in and give an ask for the university or anyone else, but she's going to talk more generally about the factors. We hope that will be complemented, although I don't yet have a confirmation, by other speakers. Aaron Lafuente, who talked about wills and estates, will talk about some of the legal aspects of estate planning. And we also may have someone talking about some of the issues around funeral planning and things like that. I was interested to see that in addition to be a kinesiologist, Barbara Turner, our speaker for the 12th, describes herself as being a death doula in her spare time. So I guess that's if the exercise doesn't work. But that's something on the 16th. Oh, sorry, I didn't tell you the 9th. We hope to present from McEwen University, and certainly our speaker will be Chris Wells and some of his colleagues and perhaps students, and they will. We hope that we can present. We can actually be present there for those of you who would like to come down and actually have a tour of his unit. On the 16th, I am hopeful that Roger Helfrich, whose concert was well received last year, will be able to come back. We're just awaiting confirmation. If he is unable, then we will get another appropriate musical program. And finally, on March 30th, we will have our final discussion, our sort of debriefing there. So really at that point, I've said more than I needed to say probably, but I'm going to open it up to ask you all about things that you would like to share. And I see Michael has got his hands up. So why don't you start, Michael?
Yeah, so of course, it dawns on me that, there is a spring election coming up. I'm sure no one knows that. And I wonder about inviting Janice Irwin and the candidate in the Southwest.
Laurie Sigurdsson?
No.
Nathan Ip.
Yeah, Nathan Ip. The two that they're both, gay, lesbian. And to talk about what we should expect or what we should be looking for in terms of a provincial election that would be valuable for gays and lesbians, the queer community kind of thing, and what they think needs to happen and what they would be kind of pushing and supporting. I think that might also be a topic of some interest, and particularly with the two of them. I mean, Janice is there. Nathan is running in the Southwest area, but he's currently the vice chair of the Edmonton School Board, has been there for the last 5 years. So it's a nice, certainly he has a lot of sense about education as such, and Janice adds from a couple of other perspectives. So that would be one suggestion that I would make.
We have heard Laurie last year, and it would be excellent. Not Laurie, Janice. She spoke with Laurie last year, and Jan has been. I'm not sure whether hounding is too strong a word. We recognize Nathan is very busy, but we are endeavoring to get him, and that combination and that particular hook of being with Janice Irwin might be a very effective one. Another very effective hook might be Michael Fair. So any assistance you can give us in contacting Nathan would be helpful. Any
Sure.
other? So we'll get back to it, and if we need your assistance to actually get Nathan firmed on a date, we'll call on you. Any questions from anyone else in the audience? Remembering our discussions, what would you like to hear? And we've had come up with really two ideas: the one present MLA and the aspiring MLA, both for Edmonton on LGBTQ issues. The book report, which I'll get back, or the book review sessions, which I think are a good idea. We'll get back to Grant on that. Anyone else with any ideas?
Larry, it's just because it's a personal interest of mine. I would propose thinking about inviting someone from the art gallery who could talk about one of the shows that's there. You know, it doesn't really matter what time. There's always 3 or 4 shows to talk about. And we were just meeting yesterday to talk about programming more for seniors. And so one of the ideas that was sitting on the table was somebody just speaking about 1 or 2 pieces and just talking about them and helping you understand. And potentially throwing in an interview with the artist if they still exist.
Michael Magnuson had contacted us earlier in a slightly different context, but he might be a very good person to at least to give an introduction, and then perhaps I could arrange a tour of Aging the Pride members to the art gallery. Would that be a reasonable sort of strategy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have Michael's? I probably got it, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I have it. I've got his number.
Okay. Good. Well, this is what I'm hoping for. We're getting ideas. Thank you, Guy. Grant, you.
Yeah, I just thought of this. I think it might be a very interesting topic to have somebody, I can't make any suggestions as to who, come in and talk to us about volunteer positions that might appeal to people in our demographic. I have just finished, I've just come to the end of 13 years of one particular volunteer position, and I'm leaving that one, looking around for maybe something else I can do that wouldn't have the downside that I've been discovering in what I have been doing. There've got to be lots of volunteer positions, and you know, they don't all involve great physical effort. So if we could find people to talk to us about things like that, I think it might be useful.
I completely agree, and I'm going to turn it over to Rachel to respond first.
How do you feel about being on the Aging with Pride committee, Grant? They're always accepting volunteers.
Don't make me laugh because I cough when I do.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think, like, I know Volunteer Alberta, because that's a huge website where they post all kinds of opportunities. Like, I wonder if there's someone there that could maybe come in and speak. I can look into that, maybe.
Yeah.
Would you, Rachel? That would be helpful. Eric, do you have a comment?
Actually, the ECVO, the Edmonton Chamber of Volunteer Organizations, a wonderful lady there who did a presentation for me on another topic. But yeah, she's very knowledgeable. I've already marked down to have a chat with her. And again, specifically for our demographics, and I think I don't want to go overboard on this, but I volunteer in a few different locations, and for me, it adds so much to the quality of life for me. I'm not sure it helps anybody else, but for me, it's really good. And so I highly recommend it. And so thanks for that suggestion. I think we will follow up on that one. Jan, you have your hand up.
Just to let you know, I think we're mostly talking about the next quarter, but in the following quarter from April to June, I've got Jackie Ford booked, and she's going to talk about volunteerism, and she specifically picked the week of the volunteer to do that. So it'll be in June that she'll be coming out to talk to us.
Okay.
Rachel, I know your time is, I'll just tell you, it's 11:42 if you're
I know.
for your other meeting.
I have 2 minutes and then I will leave. So if you see me disappear, that's why. But thank you, everybody. I love getting to be here. So, and it's funny because Guy and I just met yesterday and here we are again.
Good. Pam, we haven't heard from you, and you represent the voice of experience within the community and so on. Yeah, are there anything that you would think about or comments that you might like to make in general about Aging with Pride and what we've done?
I know it's listed as Pam Hoffman, but it's Karen here. And
oh, I'm sorry, Karen.
no, that's okay. It's not your fault. My wife had everything set up in her name. That tells you something about the kind of personality she had. And she's no longer with us. So I'm in the process now of adapting to her absence, and so you'll be seeing me in more circulation. So I'm trying to get back into the swing of things after dealing with a difficult year, and so that's why I'm just listening in, trying to get some handles going here, and you'll be seeing me around. I've been telling people if I hear about a party, I'm gonna crash it, whether I'm invited or not. That's one way to get back into the scene of things and make myself irritating and known. So I'll be going to, you'll be seeing more of me, and I'll be more active in the next couple of months as I, continue with my mourning period. And so I'll be traveling some as well. So you'll be hearing from me eventually, and you'll get to know how I go off on tangents and tend to keep going in circles and change subjects because of my ADHD issues, among other things. So yes, but thanks for noticing that I'm here. And I'm not sure how I'm going to get that name changed, but it'll happen.
I suspect somebody here might be able to help you with that, Karen, at some point. But again, my apologies. I recognize.
Well, Pam signed up for Zoom, and in the process of her decline, things sort of slipped away, and a lot of housekeeping issues were left because they were of lesser urgency than her mortality. And so I'm going to be switching, I guess, to a new Zoom account eventually, so it'll have my name. And in the process, of course, I'm decluttering, and as I'm telling people, I'm running things the way I want, and no one's here to tell me otherwise. So it's so I'll be reorganizing my life, and I'll be on to a new chapter. But it takes a while, to switch gears and to get and to adjust. So yeah, thanks for asking, and I'll be around, and you'll be hearing from me, no doubt. Perhaps more than you want to hear, but you will be hearing from me.
Excellent. And I'm sure I know I'm speaking for everyone when I say our sincerest condolences on your loss.
Thanks. Okay.
And Karen, please feel free to crash this party any old time. And I share my incompetence in many, many different locations, so I don't achieve critical mass in any one. But if you need help setting up a Zoom account, I'm pretty sure I can help you with that.
I always need help drinking too.
Okay.
And that rumor that tequila makes my clothes fall off, that's not true.
Okay. But
yeah,
really good to see you here today, Karen.
Yeah.
No, you were. Is there anyone? We've still got a few minutes. It's approaching 10 to 11 or 10 to 12 rather. We do aim to finish promptly at noon if we can. So I'm just going to go around and ask anyone if they have any final comments that they would like to make, and I'll maybe start with the organizers. So Rachel has had to go. So Eric and Jan, Well, do you have any comments on where we've gotten to thus far?
Well, I think, and just because I'm unmuted, I'll go ahead and then pass over to Jan. But really, one of my thoughts is to try to provide information about Edmonton and things that are happening in Edmonton, such as the Edmonton Social Planning Council that not many people knew about, and also possibly there is an outreach program for seniors, and they're particularly interested in finding isolated queer seniors, and that outreach program is being run by the Edmonton Seniors Coordinating Council, and we might have somebody there from there talking to us about that in February or March sometime. So I think that's my personal interest, is try to create a knowledge a little bit more about different areas of the community that we may not know about right now, and give an opportunity for that to get known. Jan, what about you?
This is year 2 of me volunteering to do this, and I'm watching our numbers dwindle. I think the best attendance we ever had was 28 people. And I'm just wondering if anybody in the crowd has any suggestions on what we could do better, or how to attract more people, or how to get the word out. So if you have any advice, please let me know.
Are we able to, when we get our links from you for the following sessions, if we were to just forward that email, that would be effective, right? Like the person receiving it could use that link, or do they have to actually go through?
I can hear you.
It would be effective for the very next session. But what we try to do is to take a person's email and invite them on a going forward role, so that they can always be invited. So eventually we need to know who they are.
Okay.
But I think the idea is, and so I maintain that mailing list, and it goes out by MailChimp every Monday. So yeah, please feel free, because that MailChimp invite that you get on the Monday has got the link. So please feel free to forward it to anybody. And I tell people, I can put you on the mailing list, but there's a button at the bottom of every email that you get that says unsubscribe me. So if somebody wants to try and come on, there's no commitment. It's a commitment-free zone. So you can unsubscribe at any time. So just pass that message on to them, I think is,
Okay.
But yeah, circulating it. The best advertising is always word of mouth. And so circulating and letting people know in your circle is helpful.
I'll maybe just interrupt that to say I've just had a confirmation from Roger Helfrich. So the Celtic Harp concert for the March 16th is on. Guy, did you have a?
Yeah, it's actually just a kudo to, I guess, just a kudo about the MailChimp notice program on Monday. It's so efficient and it's so lovely. It was a real struggle in the previous quarter to always figure out how to join. And I never quite knew, and it was kind of complicated. I didn't totally get it. But this new system works like a dream. And it's a lovely way to start the week. I always start my week on a Monday, most people, and plan it all out. And it just works really well. And it's just such a pleasure to have it. And just a comment, I've shared a notice about this program with a few people, but a lot of the folks say they're interested, but they find themselves are too busy. So it's just a thing. But thank you for asking.
Yes, I agree with Jan. The numbers, it may be stopping in the summer and then starting up again in the winter. It may take a while before it comes up, but we certainly aren't growing. And I think that's something that we need to enlist the help of community leaders in doing. Joan?
I think we mentioned this before, but the time might be detrimental to a lot of people that are still like working. I like this time, but I mean, maybe an evening session would be more doable for other folks, you know, so that might help with the numbers, something to think
Yeah,
about.
that's something we have not discussed recently, and I agree with you. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the others. You obviously lose some people, I think, and I live here in a senior's residence, and anything that gets scheduled after about 7 o'clock is tends to interfere with people's bedtime.
Yeah,
So
early evening, like maybe supper hour even or something.
Yeah. So
Like,
there,
we could watch
yeah, but
supper.
I mean, we need to work on this, but I would guess that improving our social media presence, and in particular, enlisting people to spread it to their personal contacts. There's, I think, nothing more valuable than getting an invitation from someone you know, and I'm much more likely to follow that up than I am if it's just a sort of subscription list of some sort. So we still certainly got work to do, and I was going to ask Michael to close, but I see he's left. So I think at this point, unless anyone has anything further that they really must say now, I'm going to thank you all for attending today, and to hope that you'll all be back on January the 12th to listen to Barbara Turner from Alberta Health Services on her Step Forward program. And I will ask the organizers to sign back in very briefly if we can have a short debrief. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, happy whatever celebration is your celebration, and we'll see you all in the new year.
See you next year. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys. Awesome. Ciao.
Bye now.